You know, when we're young, we depend on our parents a lot to, help us make decisions, steer us in the right direction, on up into our, teens, 20s. But there comes a time when you might have to steer your parents into a proper area or give them advice, and especially when it comes to their care. Well, we brought in today Mary Suckanek with Home Instead over in Ocean Springs. Good to have you on the show as always.
Thank you.
Home Instead has been around for a while.
Almost 17 years. 17
years, and we've been over there and talked to you and had you come in the studio. But we want to talk today about that. I mean, tips for having a conversation with your loved ones around things that as they get older. There comes a point in our life when we need to have the talk.
There is, and you really want to have that conversation before you get to the point where it's too late to start making plans. You don't want to wait till there's a fall with a broken hip or an injured shoulder or a broken leg to know what your parents want to do, where they want to age in place. Mm-hmm. And you want to have that conversation about driving, before there's a serious accident. Maybe they start driving only during the day and not at night, or 3 blocks away to the grocery store and not across the coast to the mall by themselves. Mm-hmm. So you really want to start those conversations with your parents while you can have a conversation about it, and before it becomes threatening to your parents that you're trying to take over their lives too. Yeah. You want to offer some help without trying to manage.
There's a wonderful little book that you dropped off to me here, and it talks about things like that.
Yeah.
And it gives you some ideas to look at, maybe some suggestions or questions that, you find out your 77-year-old mother's house is often in disarray, and normally she's really neat about it. Maybe have a conversation about that. Because their attention span has gotten shorter. Or are they, I don't get distracted easier?
Well, if their house is in disarray, is it because there's been some sort of huge life change? Has her husband died, or her friend's dying, so she's sad? Or is there a health problem that y'all are unaware of that she needs to see the doctor and she doesn't have the energy to be able to keep the house the way she used to? Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no. And then sometimes it's just a matter of, like I said, not having the energy, or just saying, well, it doesn't matter, I'm here by myself all the time. So maybe she needs some companionship. Maybe she needs a scheduled visit. And it's very hard sometimes for adult children who work full time, have teenage children, and active lives, to also take the care for their parents that they really want to. Mm-hmm. So then they can call a home care company like Home Instead Senior Care, and we can fill in those gaps that they're not able to do as far as companionship, helping them take care of the house, the doctor's appointments that they might not need to drive to on their own, things like that.
And when we were younger, when I was a kid, my dad worked. My mom hardly ever worked. I mean, my dad was a provider. That's just the way it was back in the 50s, the 60s, mm-hmm. and early 70s kind of thing. But nowadays, as you said, pretty much the father or the son and the daughter, or daughter-in-law or son-in-law, uh-huh. whatever, they both work. So it's not easy for them to just take off and go take care of mom or dad.
That's right.
And run errands for them, or,
mm-hmm.
or as you said, Mary, to run them around to different locations for appointments or anything like that, or just a simple go and get their hair done, mm-hmm. things like that.
Yeah.
And that's where Home Instead comes in.
That's where Home Instead can help out during the day, and at night if mm-hmm. you need night care at night, so that we can fill in the gap and do the things for their parents that their daughters or sons would do, but because they're working and have children that they have to be active with, that they don't have that time. Then when they do get to spend time with their parents, say on the weekends or at night, they're not having to worry about the chores or trying to go to the grocery store. They can enjoy the time with their parents and visit and enjoy meals, or however they like to spend their time, and they don't have to worry about the chores.
Your book has here 10 tips to help seniors communicate with their boomer children, which is a little switch, little turnaround there.
Yes.
Instead of, and I like this. First off, be assertive.
Yes. Don't just think that because your child is telling you, well, I don't think you ought to drive anymore, have that conversation with them. Say, well, I am having a little problem seeing at night. How about if I just don't drive at night and I just drive during the day? If you haven't had a serious accident, or you haven't really have a lot of dings in your car that shows that you're perhaps not paying attention, then y'all can work out a compromise.
That's one of the good things. I mean, because, and I'll have to say this, as we were talking earlier before we were taping, my father lived up to the age of 83 and was still sharp as a tack.
Yes.
And he drove and all that and did fine. So, there's, as you said, it might be that compromise. He didn't drive at night because of that, because it's hard getting to see. But as you be assertive, not aggressive.
Yes.
Aggressive communication does not work.
No, and don't talk down to your parent because you feel like they're not functioning at the level that they used to. They're not children. They are still the adult and your parent, but you also need to treat them with respect, but also take an equal role with them and not have the parent-child role anymore, because you can't be as effective in helping your parent if you're still act like a child.
I'm just going to run, because we only have a couple minutes left, but there are several other great tips in this book. Matter of fact, if you contact Home Instead, numbers on your screen, of course, a website too.
Yes.
We're glad to send you one.
Yes.
And they'll be glad to help you out with things like this. How does, if someone is interested in your services, what do they need to do?
They just need to give us a call.
That's it?
Yep, that's
now,
it.
You just go out and interview?
And we'll go out and
see what the situation is?
We go down and sit down and talk with the prospective client who may have called us, to him or herself, or their adult children, and they talk to us about what they see their needs are, and we develop a care plan for them, and we find the caregivers that are going to be the best caregiver for what they need, and we start.
So and it's really good that you don't, with your kids, you don't just blindside the parent and just bring somebody in and say, okay, we've got this person who's going to start taking care of you now.
Oh no, you really need to, if you want us to come talk to your parent and for it to be successful, then you need to start ahead of time saying, I think you might need a little extra help. I think I'm going to call this company. They're a private pay company, but and we'll be, if you have your long-term care insurance policy, will pay for it, or it's out of pocket. But they can help you do the things that I can't be here to help you with.
Mary, thank you so much for being here with us again today.
Thank you, Jim.
It's always a pleasure to see you.
It's good to be here.
And to find out the wonderful services that they do have at Home Instead. And once again, if you call the number on your screen, and you can go online and find a lot of great information as well. But call the number on your screen. It's a great book. It's called The 70-40 Rule, a guide to conversation starters for seniors and their boomer children. Or give them a visit. They're over on Government Street in Ocean Springs. It's Home Instead.